Ben Shapiro interviews Tom Macdonald. Interesting. What's going on, Hobby Lobby? Well, let's just say every now and then I see a video that I just want to put my input on and really just digest and bring to the good people of the Hobby Lobby. So that's what I'm gonna do. Ben Shapiro and Tom Macdonald had a conversation on Ben Shapiro's show, and I just want to analyze it and kind of give my 2 cents on the whole situation. And let's see where it goes. Now, I have not seen this video until I'm watching it with y'all. So, with that being said, let's get them up here and let's see what happens.
All right, joining us on the line is Tom Macdonald. You've seen his videos. You've heard his songs. He says what most Americans think without fear. He doesn't censor himself. He has a brand new music video called Dirty Money. It was just released on Friday. It already has like 3 million views on YouTube. Tom, thanks for joining the show. Really appreciate it.
Now, Ben Shapiro is definitely having Tom Macdonald on because Tom Macdonald is, in a way, pushing back against social norms that we find in mainstream media. And I would assume that that's the only reason. Like, if Tom Macdonald was doing the same music, but on different subjects and talking about some of the same old mainstream media stuff, I doubt that Ben Shapiro would have him on. Let's not forget that Ben Shapiro doesn't really think that rap or hip hop is real music. So just to keep that in mind, and I'm not knocking Ben Shapiro for that, but I'm just saying that I think it's no coincidence that Tom Macdonald is on Ben Shapiro's show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about, how your music career originally happened, because it's very rare to spot anybody remotely near the music industry who does not simply follow the left-wing line on pretty much all the issues. But you very vocally do not. So how'd you get where you are?
I think it's working, right? And as Ben Shapiro rightfully points out, like, he's not taking up the woke agenda. And I don't think most hip hop artists are doing it consciously, but there are those who are definitely specifically pushing certain narrative. And it just so happened that the certain narrative that they're pushing is mainstream and already acceptable. So you don't really get any brownie points for, making music that's already acceptable. Tom Macdonald goes against the grain. He puts himself out there. But to be fair, Tom Macdonald goes the non-traditional route. I think that if Tom Macdonald was trying to do a traditional route, he wouldn't make it in the mainstream sense of the word. So he had to carve out his own space, which I think is logically smart. And it's working for him. And not only that, but now I would say he had the ear of the Daily Wire, because Michael Knowles and people like that have been doing reaction videos to his songs, which I personally think kind of hurts the little guy, because you guys have a big following and you're taking people away from us. But I'm just playing. Let's get to it.
Well, I think the key to everything has been I'm totally independent. I have no ties to the music industry whatsoever. I've
Fact check true.
Sort of created my own little ecosystem outside of the music industry.
Fact check true.
I produce all of my music. I write all my songs. My girlfriend shoots all my videos. We distribute my music independently. There is no affiliation with any record label, manager, PR team, marketing, publicist, distro, nothing. So it's just us. And I've been doing it for about 10 years.
Here's the unique thing. Tom Macdonald is an outlier. There are plenty of independent artists, just like Tom Macdonald, like Adam Calhoun, for example, or other people that he's done work with, and they're relatively successful, but those guys are not the rule. They're the exception to the rule. Just like it's hard to become a mainstream artist, it's also hard to become a successful independent artist. It may be even harder to become a successful independent artist because you don't have the major backing and the big names and producers and people behind you. So it's harder. So even the average citizen who may be trying to take the path of Tom Macdonald may not be successful, just given the amount of near impossible task or hurdles that you have to overcome.
And just like you said, man, I'm making music about the things that I think people are afraid to talk about.
That's amazing. I mean, the response has been absolutely incredible. You can see it from the number of views on all of your music videos.
Now, I do want to say something about this. Tom Macdonald said that he's making music about the things that people are afraid to talk about. But why are people afraid to talk about it? This is the hardest thing that I've had the hardest time understanding. Like, I know that so many of you are feeling like we live in a world where certain things that was traditional or certain things that used to be just common knowledge and accepted have become taboo and you can't speak out. But why not just do it. Plenty of people can do it. Plenty of people should do it. The more of you who stand up and say something, the more of you who stand up and shout out what you really think and how you really feel and push the envelope, I think more and more people will start to rise up. And this is not a perfect example, but I just want to point your attention to the Me Too movement. You ever hear a situation to where one celebrity is called out by one female that he sexually harassed her or did something to her, and next thing you know, there's like 10 women that come forward? It has a ripple effect when people start to speak out. So maybe and hopefully people like Tom Macdonald are inspiring each and every one of you to do that. I hope that I'm inspiring you. It's always been my goal to like speak my truth, or not my truth, but to speak the truth or try to get to the truth, regardless of what people tell me I can and cannot say. So if anything, you should draw inspiration from this. I'm just kind of backing off of the conversation.
So how do you go about writing a song? Both musically and then also in terms of the lyrics. Which do you do first? You do the music first, the lyrics first, and where are you getting sort of the material from?
I don't think Ben Shapiro knows how rap is made. I really think that Ben Shapiro is like so clueless on hip hop, and I don't think it's by like him going out of his way to make sure he is. I think he's just not interested in it. He doesn't strike me as the type of person who cares about hip hop. And even the times where hip hop was brought up, I think he had a conversation with Zuby or some guy named Zuby. I can't remember his name properly, but he's like a rapper or something of that sort. Ben Shapiro doesn't live in that world to where hip hop is like a part of his daily intake, and nor does he have any interest to take part in it. But like a song is like a song. I think in any genre, like maybe you're listening to something and a hook comes to your head, or maybe you just start writing because you got some bars that come. Different songs come about in different ways, at least in a creative way. And I say that because I used to write rap and I used to make music and on my own spare time as a hobby. And it's just the inspiration comes at any given point. But some people may have a process, so let's see. But I don't really think that Ben Shapiro really cares about this. I just think that, it's a question to be asked.
It's always a different process.
What did I say? Like I said, I did not see this until I'm watching it right now.
Since I make all of my own beats, like sometimes I come into the studio with no concept, with no direction, and just sort of create freely, and it just comes about naturally. But like a lot of people out there, I think we're just sort of bombarded with like information these days, whether it's the news or the newspaper or on the internet or on social media. It's just like this constant bombardment of headlines and stuff happening in the world. So
I think the average person's like ability to like focus and their attention span is gotten down to like 8 seconds. I believe that's the last number that I've heard. I could be wrong, but fact check me. With that being said, yes, Tom Macdonald is telling the truth. We're bombarded with information, and not all of that information is accurate. And I really do believe that by design, if you bombard people with information, a few things are going to happen. Either people are going to be inaccurate and they're going to get wrongful information, or people are going to tune out. Or they might just get frustrated with it all and say burn it all down. Like, it's only so much information that a human being is like capable of storing and actually processing and fact checking, or whatever the case may be. This word fact checking has come about not too long ago, and everybody's talking about do your own research and fact checking, but it's nearly impossible to do that with all the information that's constantly, just flooding you every single day. You're mad about one thing, and then before you know it, there are 10 more reasons to be mad about something else.
So I'm just taking all of this information in and digesting it as best as I can. And, sometimes regurgitating it back out into songs of my thoughts and feelings about what's going on in the world today. So yeah, I think it's pretty hard, like, to not feel some type of way about all the craziness sort of taking place these days.
So why don't you tell me?
I even feel like Tom Macdonald is coming at it from a humble perspective, right? Tom Macdonald is not somebody saying, hey, I'm not the person who knows everything. I'm not the person who's going to give you all of the information. What I am just saying is I'm taking in the same things that you're taking in. And with that information, I'm just kind of like expressing or like venting about the situation we're in, right? Take it as you will. And some people don't like that.
Tell me about sort of the origins of Dirty Money. It just came out on Friday.
Dirty
and as I say, it's racking up millions of views almost immediately. Where did that one come from?
Why is Ben Shapiro interviewing Tom Macdonald? Like, I get it. I get that Tom Macdonald is like the perfect person for Ben Shapiro to interview. But at the same time, Ben Shapiro is not a hip hop fan. Ben Shapiro is not a rap fan. So it's clearly like, hey, brother, I see you talking about things that we can get behind and agree with. You should probably have this interview. But I really think that this could have been a much more like a much more profitable and enlightening experience. Not saying that Bishop Shapiro is doing a bad job interviewing him, but just imagine if Tom Macdonald was talking to somebody who was really heavily into hip hop. Imagine the type of questions and the nature of the conversation and how it would unfold. It would be a much more entertaining interaction. Just my personal take.
I've always just been sort of interested in
See, because it feels like Tom Macdonald is kind of like not really seriously knowing how to respond to some of these questions, because it's like that's a weird way for me to like address this, or like I don't really think about it this way in the way that you're asking me.
politics and sort of the inner workings of things. And I'm not like a political scientist. I'm not super well versed in a lot of the stuff that's going on, but I think where I can connect with people is that I'm just like a regular person, and I'm getting all the same information that all the other regular people are. I'm just fortunate enough to have a platform and have the skill to make music. And
see, here's another thing, right? Like this is humble. Like I said earlier, Tom Macdonald is taking a humble approach, right? But I would argue that, and some of y'all may disagree with me with this, but that's perfectly fine. But I have to be honest, because I'm always give y'all 100% like my thoughts. Uh, on one hand, if you're going to speak about a bunch of political issues, people are going to have an expectation for you to have a certain level of understanding about the political issues that you're speaking about. Now, I never feel as if Tom Macdonald is like telling a person what to believe. I never hear that from his music. I always hear him most likely telling you like how he feels about certain situations that's going on and how it impacts him, and like how he's perceiving the world and filtering it through his mind. He never really just goes out and say y'all need to do this and y'all need to do that, and I don't never feel like that. But he does go after and call out certain individuals or certain industries or elite groups in a general sense. But when you say that I'm not really like politically like in tune with politics like that, well, the next question that somebody who's not a fan of Tom Macdonald might ask, and I'm just telling y'all this because this is something y'all need to think about. They're going to ask, then, okay, then what gives you any credibility to speak on these things? That's what somebody's going to ask.
It's just a great forum for me to sort of like speak the things that I'm thinking. So when I watch the news, or I read the paper, or I read articles online, I just have a great venue to sort of just speak my mind. So, and I do that from like a regular person's perspective, which is why I think I connect with people like so well.
So it's
and Dirty.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
See, that's why he connects with people so well, right? Let's be honest. Most people first want to hear something that they enjoy. They want to listen to music that they think sounds good. That's like your first priority as an artist or somebody who makes music. You want to give people something that they can enjoy listening to. And some people, bars is everything, music is everything, and some people they like a mixture of both. It depends, but that's the main priority. If you can accomplish that, I really do believe that for even if you get things wrong or you're not necessarily on point with every issue that you're bringing up in your song, people will look past it. I don't think most people go to their music to inform themselves about their politics or to inform themselves about a situation. They're going to be entertained, and also they want to resonate with you, feel like strike an emotion in me. Sometimes the subject matter does that, and that's the most important thing that I think Tom is doing. He's connecting with people on a human level and touching on things that people can relate to, and that's more important than the actual politics of it all.
Yeah, dirty money is just a reflection of like a lot of the things going on right now. And I think especially in America, speaking of money, like financially and economically, I think that we're in a real hard place right now. So I wrote this song 6 months ago. It just happened to be the right time for it now.
So let's talk about kind of how your music career got started. Because
see, I really don't think Bishop Shapiro like I would really want to touch on it. Like I want to dive deeper on that situation about the dirty money, right? Like he talked about like the song and about where we're at. Let's drill down a little bit and say what exactly like are some of the things you're seeing that that indicates to you that we're having money issues, right? Because this is given as an interviewer. And look, I'm no Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is a smooth talking, fast talking, great debater. And I have my moments to shine or whatever the case may be, but I would never say that I'm on Ben Shapiro's level. You can clearly see that by my subscriber count. But with that being said, I would argue that this is a good time to create an environment where Tom Macdonald can really shine and really get a chance to, like, get some thoughts out there on a platform he may not have. I don't, but then again, Tom Macdonald might have a bigger platform than Ben Shapiro. I don't know. I mean, he gets millions of views on his videos, so what the hell do I know?
We were talking right before we got on the line about the fact that you used to work construction. So how did you get to where you are right now? Like, when did you first take up music? How did this happen?
Well, I was a professional wrestler for many years, like the WWE style stuff. And that sort of chapter of my life came to a close. Just like there's a lot of internal politics in wrestling and accumulated injuries, so I had to get out of that business. And I'd always been sort of writing poetry and writing rock songs. Didn't have the voice. It wasn't a Robert Plant, Joe Cocker vocalist. So
I have no idea who those people are. Beat me up in the comment section all y'all want, but I'm honest.
But I still needed an outlet, and I had been writing music. So rap and hip hop just was sort of the natural direction for somebody that didn't have a big rock star frontman voice. So got into rap and hip hop, made the exact same music as everybody else for many years, probably 6 or 7 years. Everything was about cars and clothes and money and girls and partying and all that stuff.
Now, look, I've had debates with people of the liberal persuasion about hip hop and about its effect and impact on the Black community personally. And for some reason, a lot of these people don't buy the fact that hip hop is a major influencer on Black culture. And they don't understand how deep it goes and how much of an impact it has on young Black children. And here we have Tom Macdonald, a white guy from Canada, who had a major influence by some of these songs and music that they put out in the mainstream media. And even he was impacted by it. So I think a lot of people underestimate that, which is why I'm a big advocate of, like, not, feeding the beast and not allowing hip hop, gangster rap to be a major influence in a lot of communities, because I understand the negative implications it can have. And this is just proof of it, which people might say, oh, that's a single case, but it's enough to point out a very valid point.
And I was emulating a lot of like what I was seeing the biggest artists of the time doing. And not only emulating it in my music, but emulating it in my real life, which led me down a super destructive path, which sort of culminated with like a little bit of a bout with alcoholism, which sort of led to a little bit of a mental breakdown. And that took me like 9 months to close to a year to rehab myself from that. So now I'm completely sober. And I sort of coming out of that dark place, it gave me an opportunity to sort of examine what do I care about, and what do I want to make in my music, and who do I want to talk to with my music. And I just sort of made the decision, like
okay, so this is not the story that I know about Tom Macdonald. Like, I know that a lot of people know Tom Macdonald heavily. I try not to like dive too deep in some of the artists that I react to because of biases. And every now and then my biases get the best of me. But in order to properly judge a song on its individual merits, it's sometimes good to be outside of the bubble. That way you can give people something real and raw instead of lying to people or telling people that a song is good because you like the artist, right? But I would have never guessed that Tom Macdonald got into like making music from that path. Because it would make me question, okay, well, were you truly like a big fan, or like were you a true artist, or was this just a backup plan, right? I really think that Tom Macdonald is making music now that resonates with him more than the other music that he was making before he had his breakdown. And that's probably what is allowing him to sustain his career and be successful at it. and which is probably a reason why maybe the success didn't come earlier, because maybe he was just trying to emulate something and come up with a backup plan. But sometimes you got to go through things like that to find your true calling, or to find where your talent actually lies. So it's a journey. And I just didn't assume that that's how he got into like where he like into the music he's making now, So the more you learn,
I don't want
the more you know.
to make music that's going to damage other people. Like the music I was listening to damaged me. So now I'm here, sober as a judge, making what the
Congratulations and kudos to Tom Macdonald for being sober. And more people need that inspiration. And I would say that the reason I stopped making music, and I did mine mostly as a hobby. When I was younger, I wanted to like blow up and be a big hip hop artist, but more so, I didn't necessarily want that lifestyle going to club to club. I clubbed when I was like 20, 21, 22, and that was my clubbing days were over. But I could never see myself living on the road and just going to club or whatever the case may be. And now that I'm older, I realize that I stopped making music because I didn't want to be a part of a genre that was so heavily responsible for putting out negativity. And I know some people will argue, well, you can make positive music and things of that sort. I'm going to be honest with y'all. For whatever reason, positive conscious rap is not as attractive as negative gangster rap or things of that sort. There are some conscious rappers that I love, and there are some positive rappers that I love. Like I love listening to Tom Macdonald, whatever the case may be. But it will never be as mainstream as some of the music that we have right now. And hear me out. Like, I'm not saying that it's not possible, but what I'm saying is people have a fascination with outlaws. People have a fascination with those people who living on the edge of society and doing and saying the things that other people wish they could do. That's part of the attraction of Tom Macdonald, because he's saying and, talking about things that attract people to a level of like riskiness. And that's the reason that a lot of people like gangster movies back in the day, and some people still love them to this day, because it's something about the outlaw, somebody who's pushing against the social norms, which is attractive. I wouldn't necessarily see, I put Tom Macdonald on a conscious level rap because of the issues and the topics that he talk about, but I think he's mostly successful because of his edginess. And we live in a time where him saying obvious things have become taboo, if that makes sense. And by the way, while I have y'all, if you notice, I have a new poster up on my wall. So I'm gonna duck my head so y'all can see it. All right. And I used to have an old poster, and I am considering, hear me out, I am considering, this is the old poster. Some of y'all remember this. I've had this since I began my channel, right? And politics, religion, and culture. So I'm thinking about giving this away, and I'm going to sign it and probably give it away to somebody. So I haven't yet figured out how I want to go about doing that process, but be on the lookout. I'm going to figure out a way to choose somebody at random to give this poster to and mail it to them. So that's on my to-do list. So just letting y'all know, subscribe if y'all ain't subscribed yet, and be on the lookout for this, because I really want to give this to one of y'all. So just to let that be said, let's get back into it.
The world has deemed to be super controversial music, but it's just stuff that I truly care about.
So how'd you get into American politics in the first place? You're from Canada, right? You're from our northern neighbor.
Yeah.
So what got you into American politics?
Everybody's in American politics. You cannot be a part of Earth and not be in American politics.
Well, I think that the whole world is sort of into American politics.
What? I tell you, bro, me and Tom Macdonald, bro, we might be in sync on a lot of things, bro.
From childhood, even like growing up in Canada, like my dad and my grandfather were always like really into politics. So I'd sit around and watch TV with them and listen to them talking. And it's really crazy. Like even back then when I was a kid, they were talking about China and sort of warning me about, hey man, China's going to be a big deal one day. You need to pay attention to this stuff. And here we are today. And it's just like a little bit of a deja vu. But so you kind of absorb a lot of that just coming up in Canada. American politics are sort of spotlighted globally, I think. And then moving to America like 8 or 9 years ago now,
I'll say this: non-Americans are much more interested in American politics than Americans are interested in foreign politics. We have our picks. People talk about China and Russia. We'll talk about certain countries in the Middle East, but like there's so many other countries out there, so many things happening. And honestly, I think most Americans are just not interested. And for the life of me, I don't care because look, we already trying to deal with all the massive information and stuff that we're dealing with in our own country. Do you really want to pile on more and more stuff that's going on in countries you have no control over?
It was a little bit of a culture shock, and I think that there's a lot of people here that get so wrapped up in it all the time, and they're in it from birth, that I think that I had a little bit of a unique perspective because I
that's not me. Like I didn't get into politics until I was 24, 23, 24. And like when I get into something, I get into it heavily, heavily. Like I'm just the type of person that's like a radical. So I'm just that into something. And I think that's where I gained most of my knowledge by just taking a deep dive into politics heavily and just like dissecting everything. And it caught me up really, really fast. And I might just be intelligent enough to really just analyze certain things, break it down, and figure out the best way to argue something. So just a little, just for those people who might think I grew up into this, I did not. And this ain't about me. It's about Tom.
I think sometimes it's that old saying, you can't see the forest through the trees. And I think that's where a lot of people are at within the country right now. They're just so surrounded by this stuff and have been for so long that it's hard for them to sort of like
take a step
differentiate and focus on different things. So coming in from an outsider's perspective 8-9 years ago, I kind of got to stand back and look at everything and say, holy cow.
Right? Like, if you pay attention to like immigrants that come into the country and things of that sort, they have a much more unique perspective on certain things that people are advocating for in our country right now, like socialist policies and things of that sort. They have a much different relationship with some of these things. Some people come from socialist countries. So, and Tom being from Canada, Canada is much more liberal compared to America, at least currently. And that's going to shape his perspective on like coming to a country where you have the freedom to like keep and bear arms without like it being infringed, and the level of freedom of speech and things of that sort that are enshrined in our constitution. Now, there's some people who have those things in their constitution and stuff like that, but Americans are unique in a way that we value certain rights and how we approach it on a day-to-day basis. So, it's very enlightening to see an outsider's perspective on what's going on inside of our bubble here in America.
This is wild. What's taking place here, and it's only got crazier over the last 9 years. So.
Well, I was very flattered that Facts Don't Care About Your Feelings does actually show up in one of your big songs, Fake Woke. I don't know.
Hey, man.
Bro, Ben Shapiro is not listening to rap, bro. I would argue that Ben Shapiro probably listened to Tom Macdonald's song for this interview. And even then, he probably had some of his like handlers like, hey, this song, or something like that. And these are the questions that you should ask him, like get acquainted. But Ben Shapiro's not popping in a Tom Macdonald CD and jamming it in his car as he drives back and forth to work. I get that. I understand it. Some people are going to say, Javier, why does it matter? Why are you pointing this out or whatever the case may be? Because I think it matters. All right. I think it matters. We have to be careful not to just be happy and excited for a certain collab or certain people talking because they agree with you ideologically. Like we gotta put things in perspective of who has something to gain here, what's being gained, who's using who, and who's benefiting. I think that Ben Shapiro is benefiting here, but Tom Macdonald is also benefiting here. It's a win-win in my opinion, but at the same time, I really can't say that Ben Shapiro excites me when he interviews Tom Macdonald because I know that Ben Shapiro is not a rap fan.
I've been called the Ben Shapiro of rap many times.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, I've been called the Ben Shapiro of rap because obviously I had my amazing recording of WAP.
His WAP. If Ben Shapiro say WAP, Wow. But yeah, that was a crazy moment right there. That was crazy. And I think that video went viral. If you haven't seen Ben Shapiro read the lyrics to WAP by Cardi B and treat yourself this very day. You thank yourself.
The Cardi B hit, which I gotta say, my version slaps significantly harder than the Cardi B version.
Yo, slap significantly harder. Awesome.
Well, I mean, there have been calls. I mean, I'm not.
I think Tom Macdonald was like, did he just say slap significantly harder?
I'm just going to put it out there. There have been calls for us to collaborate, and I know that it would probably be degrading your art for us to do that. But I will say that my rap, I feel it's an untapped field for me.
If Ben Shapiro makes a rap song with Tom Macdonald, not only will it go viral and people will eat it up, but I also think Ben Shapiro would never recover from that. Given his image and how people perceive him, if Ben Shapiro spits some bars, it will fundamentally alter his perception in Americans' eyes. Because every time you see Ben Shapiro, you're going to be thinking about him rapping.
Yeah,
it's something that I've always wanted to. It's sort of like my feminine identity as a Black lesbian woman. It's sort of like an area that I feel is just.
Now that slaps significantly hard.
Absolutely. I've never touched it. I've never really gone, like, I'm a classically trained violinist since the age of 5. And so, Mozart and Beethoven and Bach and Brahms are really more my style. But I feel like there's a part of me that I just haven't accessed. And so maybe.
No. I know they're laughing. It's a joke. It's funny though.
I don't know. If the crowd wants it, then perhaps
I vote for it. If you vote for it, hit the like button. Hit the like button right now. Drop a comment. Let me know you voting for it.
I'll be forced to solicit your help in joining the rap industry. Is it called? I don't even know what it's called. R&B.
Hey, Ben, if there is untapped potential here, if there's a fire burning somewhere deep inside your soul that's making you want to spit some super hot bars with me, I'm down. Let's make it happen.
Well, I really appreciate the invitation. I'm sure nothing would horrify you more, but perhaps we will make that happen sometime in the future to the consternation of both my audience and your own. Tom Macdonald, you should go check out his brand new music video, Dirty Money. It's out on YouTube right now. Tom, really appreciate the time and congratulations.
It was a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, guys.
Tom, Ben. All right. So look, with that being said, I think that that was great. Like I said, I don't think Ben Shapiro was like necessarily the person who would have done the best job interviewing Tom Macdonald about his music because Ben Shapiro's unique listening taste, which nothing against him for that. I just had to point that out. But what's fair is fair. We all make content. Let him make content, do the interview, put it out. I hope the world's saying I'm all for it, 100%. I enjoyed the conversation. I hope y'all enjoyed the conversation as well. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comment section, and y'all let me know if y'all interested in, possibly winning this poster with my signature. Thank y'all so much for watching. Peace and glory, everybody. Be peaceful and be great. Until next time, I'm out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more. If you would like to get access to exclusive content, consider becoming a member or a patron at patreon.com/thehavylobby. You can also continue the conversation by joining the Hobby Lobby Discord. You can find all the links in the description below.